doing a bit of a sound check. If somebody can just ping me and let me know that you can hear me, that would be great. Just wanted to do a bit of sound check here. Just want to make sure that everybody can hear us. Excellent. Okay. Thank you, John and Tim. Well, good morning, everyone, and look forward to an exciting new webinar this morning. Just had a bit of a technical difficulty signing on today, and I'm just waiting for, hopefully Amalia will join us. I know that she was having some issues as well herself from her end. That's sometimes the beautiful part about technology. So what I did want to do today is to spend some time, and we'll begin working away with today's webinar. Just one quick second here. We're just loading it up. Perfect. So we'll go through our typical agenda, which is latest news and articles. We have an interesting infographic today. This week we don't have a case study, but for sure next week we'll have a specific case study for you, and then we'll have some questions and answers. So we'll move on from there. I do just wanted to put this out there. If you have any questions throughout the week that come by your clients and you want us to discuss them at the next webinar, feel free to just send us an email with the question. I know next week I'll be touching base on a few things that have been asked from us. Just didn't get a chance to finalize them for today, but we'll start taking some questions and answering them throughout the webinar, and trying to perhaps talk about specific topics that are relevant to what your prospects and clients are asking you today. Okay. So one of the first things that I wanted to share with you, and we'll start off the news from Google, is that Google has recently made some small changes to the way they are displaying the results and even sometimes advertising on mobiles, specifically on iOS and Androids. And right now they're testing this new interface, and I'm going to show you in a second, where they're trying to create different color separators to make it easier for anyone on the phone to be able to separate or identify the different search results. Sometimes, if you are on the phone and your phone's smaller, you can actually see here, you'll notice that this is where typically you'll find just a whole listing, and most of the time they're just separated by a very, very thin gray line. But now they're kind of doing things differently. They're actually adding a couple of colors, a little bit more space. So here on the right, you can see that there's more space. They're adding a little bit of color lining to the different search results. Okay, and this is something that's going to probably be rolled out in the next few months. Right now, it's still in beta testing, as you know, Google usually likes to beta test for 30, 45 days, and sometimes even 60 days before it gets rolled out. Why is this good for us? Well, number one, you are now able to separate yourself from the pack, and if you have some strong title descriptions as well as title tags and description tags, I'll definitely separate you from the pack. In this case, for example, it also showing whether the site's mobile friendly or not. You see, we've talked about this in the past about these notification, mobile friendly doesn't say anything, so it's probably not non-mobile friendly. So keep in mind that Google continues to make a big push in the mobile marketing vertical, and they definitely want to be able to capitalize on that. As a result, they're making these small changes to make the user experience better. So if Google is investing a lot of their resources and time into this area, rest assured that this is an area that they want us to also continue to focus. So I just wanted to bring this up to you. If you are meeting with a client, they're still not mobile friendly, or they're looking at learning more about how we can help them, or how mobile marketing is changing. Well, these are some of the examples where Google's really focusing on that. Okay. The second article that I wanted to share with you is in regards to Bing. sometimes we kind of neglect all of the other major search engines. But in this case, I wanted to share something interesting that Bing has recently announced. At this stage, it looks like it's also in beta testing. It's something that hasn't been rolled out. But what they're doing is they're actually offering a link to order food online from your restaurants. So when you log into Bing, and I'll do it in a second from my computer, but I just want to share the screen capture. Is that, for example, you're looking for a restaurant. In this case, we New York City. You type that into your Bing search browser, and basically once you get the results for this restaurant, you'll notice that if the restaurant is a restaurant that where you can order online, they have a new button where you can just click on it, and right away you can actually make your order online. So it's making it easier at the local level with in the search results for users to right away order online. Okay, so that's something that again Bing is testing out right now, and they don't have a time frame on when they'll launch it to the world, but it's something that's happening. So I'm just going to share an example. If you just give me a quick second of another specific results. So here I went into Bing, and here's another of the samples. Kentucky Thai House San Francisco. When you type in that on Bing, you get the search results, and here is our local search page, right on the right-hand side. Oh, that's very strange, because a minute ago I swear I saw that you could actually make an order online. Let's say let me see. It could be because I am in Canada. Sorry. New York City, you'll notice. That's very strange. I was actually testing this before. Here we go. Let's see here. Here we go. Oh, okay. It could be the fact that either it's in beta testing or because I'm located in Canada. So maybe they don't allow me to see it from here. I can't really order online because I'm not locally. So if anybody is in New York, of our listeners, or in San Francisco, you can actually type in those specific restaurants, and you'll notice that there will be a fourth line here where it's order online, and it's something that they are looking at really implementing and launching. So I mean, it should be working. It's just that I am not in New York City, so therefore it's probably not displaying to me. It's not really relevant. But it's going to be something that they're looking at rolling out in the next little while to all of the restaurants around the U.S. primarily. Now, one of the things that they did mention was that they are focusing on using different technologies and third-party companies that can offer this order online. So it hasn't been fully defined, so they're still in that beta testing phase. So it's something cool that's coming in for specifically for any of your clients that are restaurants at the local level. Make sure that their Bing page, their local page, has been optimized properly. Okay, so just wanted to share that with you. Two new things that are coming in from both Bing and Google as well. Excellent. The other, just wanted to go into this mode here. Sorry about that. The other thing that we wanted to share with you today, it's something that Amalia was going to talk a little bit more about, but it's really in regards to restructuring a PPC account. And sometimes, if you are managing your own PPC account or you're working with a supplier, sometimes change is important, specifically if you're not getting the results that you want, or the results themselves have really plateaued or stalled. And obviously, you need to do a thorough review of the overall campaign. Now, if your campaign is just experiencing, a 30-day drop in results, or maybe even 45 to 60 days, no need to panic. But if really you're restructuring because of the lack of results, or perhaps you are moving into a different direction, here are some things that you have to consider before doing a whole overhaul on your PPC campaign. So obviously, some of the reasons why you may want to do is because you want to increase ad relevancy, better search query sculpting. Obviously, improving the conversion rate is at the top of the list. Streamline reporting, and so on. So there are many ways that you can actually do this. Now, one note is that if you are looking at restructuring a campaign and you don't have the expertise, or you do have the expertise but it's not something that you do often, make sure that you follow a specific checklist in order to make sure that you don't miss anything. Because if you, in making changes, miss a thing that was working before, you may actually make it worse. If you're not careful, you'll probably make the results worse than ever before. And as a result, you have to assess all the elements that are that are key components of the campaign today, because they will impact your new structure. So it's a really good thing to do, is to make sure that you are making a list of things. And here they give us 12 different things, okay, to consider before committing to a full restructure of your AdWords campaign. Okay, again, my recommendation, if it's only one or two of these things that are trying to kind of make you think maybe I should restructure, either consult with your supplier, your paid search supplier, or paid search support team, or be very careful on why you do it. Now, if you have probably 6 or 7 of these things that are not working for you, for sure, you want to make sure that you can do a proper restructure. So tracking issues, for example, is one of the things that usually come up. You haven't had a conversion in the past 3 or 4 weeks. You're wondering why, and maybe perhaps for the code has been removed from the thank you page, or due to a new website launch, perhaps you're having really issues with tracking conversions, whether it be online sales or just lead generation. So it's one of the things that you have to make sure that before you move on to committing to that restructure, you're double checking that everything is working properly. And once you implement those new tracking codes, or even setting up the goals on the Google AdWords or Google Analytics as well, dashboards, make sure that you're doing it properly. You also have to look at seasonal trends. Okay, you want to make sure that if you are restructuring the campaign, you're doing it at the right time. Don't do it at the peak of your season. If you don't, unless the campaign is really performing very awful and it's not really getting you the results, don't do the transition until the season ends, right? Because it'll give you enough time to do all the required research that you need to do to launch the campaign. However, if you're in the middle of the peak season, it's something to consider very well, that all of your components are working properly. Landing pages as well. It's an area that sometimes we take for granted. We just so many times I see PPC campaigns just going to really homepage landing pages, or to an about us, or a non-unique landing page. So you want to consider revisiting your landing pages. You want to make sure that you have the right call to actions, the right content, specifically if you want to improve your quality score, right? You want to make sure that you embed those specific keywords into your landing pages. And in some scenarios, you may have to create more than 2 or 3 landing pages. Okay, so that way you can do some A/B testing, and you can also have a specific landing pages for specific services. Sometimes it's better to do that. Now, budget permitting, you may not be able to do that. So what I would always recommend is focus on the service or product that's giving you the most, giving your client the most results in regards to sales and profits. Okay, language targeting, again, it's very important that if you are doing different languages, you are taking care of that as well. You're not neglecting specific language in your overhaul. Geographic performance, very key. This is very key. We've seen in many campaigns specifically where you make a small change in your overall AdWords campaign, and what ends up happening is that it affects your top performing geographies. So be very careful about this one, because you don't want to make a change that's going to hinder the performance of your top geo-target areas or locations. Your bidding strategies, again, make sure you're doing that. Match types, campaign settings, your device performance. Number 9, you got to be able to be prepared to accommodate mobile and tablet as well. So that's very important. Your ad scheduling. For this one, I would actually do a bit of testing, because you'll notice you'll quickly start finding trends on what days of the week your ads are performing better. And it doesn't mean that, you know what, you're just going to provide, share or display them at a specific time. You may have to even look at weekend schedules and so on. So take a look at that, very, very specific. Shared budgets as well, and ad copy testing. So these are all key things that when you're looking at a restructure and looking at an overhaul, these are 12 things that you should be looking at. Okay, the article is really very detailed. You can find it on Search Engine Watch. The author goes into a lot of detail in asking questions of how you want to do it, and you may want to ask these questions to your clients if they're the ones that are giving you the idea of doing a whole revamp restructuring of the AdWords campaign. So just wanted to share this checklist with you. I know there's some ICs that manage their own AdWords accounts, and usually we get some questions from them in regards to restructuring or revamping because of a lack of performance, or because they just hit a plateau. Or in regards to performance, they hit a ceiling. Make sure you kind of look into all of these things. Okay. The other thing is another, I think it's an exciting thing that's happening right now with Google AdWords. Basically, they recently launched what they call a call-only ad type. And basically, as you're going through creating new ads, basically they have created a new area where you can just create an ad and focus it only towards mobile users. Okay, so these are for companies that are looking at increasing the volume of calls coming in, right? They have the proper infrastructure to take in calls. So Google has made this very easy and simple to create these ads on the Google AdWords interface. And as a matter of fact, as you are creating these ads, they actually show you an ad preview of what the ad will look like on mobiles. Now, please note that this is only for mobile. So if you are using a tablet, it may not work, or an iPad, it may not work. It will only work for mobiles, because the whole thing is that they want to capture people that will actually call. So it's really this type of ad will allow you to drive calls, only drive calls. They're not going to drive traffic to your website. The thing is that they're only going to drive calls. So if you're testing this with the client, make sure that it's the right proper number, the number works, as well as the person on the other line, that's trained to take on these calls. Because the last thing you want to do is send drive calls and they're not getting converted. But it's a new call-only ad type that definitely will generate some results for clients that are very serious about mobile marketing. The other thing to keep a note of is that the cost per click, it's not really a cost per call, it's more a cost per click. So if the person clicks on the call, you see right here on the ad, there's a call, there's an icon that will show on the mobile ad. So if the person clicks on the call, right, it will initiate the call. But if the user hangs up before it's picked up, you still get charged for the click, right? So it's so not necessarily you're tracking calls on a cost. It's not cost per call, it's cost per click. So even though they just clicked on it and they hang up, you're still being charged a cost per click. That's the only reservation. Let's see how it works out in the next probably 3 to 6 months as Google rolls this out and be interesting to find out from some of our accounts how that's working. So I'll keep an eye on that, and probably in the next month or so I may come back to this specific sample to let you know how it's working for some of our clients. But it's a new way of really marketing to mobile users, and people who are on the go. They just want to call, they see your ad, and they have that calling feature. Okay, so just wanted to share that with you as well. This is only working for Google and a specific Google AdWords. Okay, excellent. We're trying to add a little bit more content in our webinars in regards to local optimization and local SEO, because as you know, it's really compared to even, let's say, 12 or 18 months ago, the local landscape has changed a lot. So one of the things that that you have to really work with your client, and I know some clients are very they don't like to pay attention to content marketing. They think they don't have the time pretty much, or they don't have the ideas. They may not have the in-house resource to help you in developing a proper content marketing plan. However, more and more this is the whole content marketing strategy, or what it's been coined by the author as a content marketing engine, is really very important now at the local level. It used to be more of a focus of a content marketing strategy at, let's say, a national level, or where you're looking at really branding yourself in the industry. But now it's more than ever to differentiate yourself with in the market. You have to have a proper content marketing strategy, and that's really your having a proper marketing engine. Okay, so whether you're a plumber, a carpenter, or a doctor, a dentist, a small clinic, or a lawyer, as a consultant, you definitely, if these are the types of clients you have to really drive home the fact of the matter that this is an area where they have to invest time. And if you recall our adaptive SEO strategy, adaptive SEO really clearly focuses on 45% of your efforts in content marketing. Okay, now content marketing is not just a matter of fact. It's just to help you boost up your search engine rankings, or just for SEO purposes. I mean, that's one of the key things. But the other thing is really engagement, and really building a community of followers. So it's not just having a content marketing strategy for rankings and just to generate traffic, but it's really to create a brand for your clients online at the local level. Okay, and as you know, I mean, this is something that we've discussed in the past few weeks. Consumers will start the research, and even though very early in the buying cycle, and if you are able to capture them in that research phase, you actually, as a brand, can make an impact on them. So right now it's winter time. Let's say you have a client that's a landscaping company that's getting ready, gearing up for the spring. You want to start already building content in relation to that spring themes. Anything to do with a spring cleaning up, anything to do with tips, how-tos. Those are things that you want to make sure that you're focusing on your content marketing strategy. Don't just try to pull teeth from your client to give you a topic, but make it fun, right? And here are some key components that the author talks in this interesting article. I would definitely recommend that you see on Search Engine Land. And he talks about blogging, articles, and white papers. Now, blogging, it's one of the simple things to do, because obviously you're looking at probably 350, 400 words that have to be written maximum. Let's say they're short. They're not as lengthy as articles and white papers. But one of the challenges that can happen is that you can't really just be doing one blog a month. Ideally, if you're going to decide to do blogging, you have to do this consistently. You have to have a topic in mind. You have to be able to engage your clients, and in some cases, you have to allow your users or your audience, your target audience. Let's say if you're a plumber or you're a lawyer, for the audience to engage with you in your blog, meaning that you allow them to reply, to add comment. So, because you want to create that sense of of engagement from your ability to engage with you and provide recommendations. So when you're blogging, it's really about consistency. It's really about having a plan, right? And it could be a quarterly theme or topic that you focus on, right? It doesn't have to be a 1 month, but there has to be a series of blogs that have to be written and published. Okay. The author does talk a little bit about when to guest blog, when it's appropriate to guest blog, and you have to be very careful about that because we've seen in the last probably 8, 9, 10 months that Google's frowning upon some guest blogging sites. So you have to be very careful the way you approach it. But it is something that that you can do as long as it's really relevant to the industry that you're focusing on. And we do get those questions from ICs in regards to guest blogging, and at ALM we only recommend it if it's really relevant. It's done, not on a continuous basis, but randomly to support your overall SEO strategy. Articles and white papers. Anytime I talk about white papers with ICs, they think, oh no, it's going to be a 15-page white paper. If I can't get my client to help me with a 500-word article or a 400-word or 300-word blog, how am I going to do this white paper? And you don't have to, create a white paper every month. Why don't you work with your client and develop a white paper every quarter or every 2 months, right? And these white papers could be focusing on how-to, best practices, did you know type of themes. So that way, at the local level, your client's website starting to get that SEO authority because they are publishing relevant content, rich content that's also engaging. Then you have the whole component of social or conversational text. How do you want to deliver that message to your users, and do they want them conversing back with you? And how do you follow up with just answering on your blog post, or do you follow up with another blog? So it is something to think about. Don't just write an article to write an article. You have to definitely be able to engage with your clients, because that's the way it's going with your users. That's the way things are happening at the local level now. Okay, images, another key thing. This is one that it's a pet peeve of mine, because so many times we're asking clients to provide us with images to accompany the specific blog or article, and images can go a long way because they can be optimized. They give that page of content a better a better view. You can actually even add a call to action to that image, right? So images, specifically they're your own original media assets, photography. Maybe your client has some of their own photography, whether it be their own office or their warehouse, whatever it is. You want to have proprietary images so you can optimize them and add them to your content marketing strategy. You can not only place them on your blogs, articles, and white papers, but you can also place them on sites like Instagram or Pinterest and optimize them, right? Or even in your Facebook and Twitter. So there's many ways of using that. Slide presentations in other media. That's another area that perhaps for B2B clients like lawyers and consultants, you can have presentations on how-tos, or even for your plumbers or your dentist. You can have slide presentations and publish them as well through the different directories that accept the slide presentations, like SlideShare, right? So it's very important that don't just focus your content marketing strategy on text-based, but also on other mediums. And video is very key. This is something that continues to be very powerful, specifically with the growth of YouTube and the way Google's focusing on video marketing. It's one of those things that you should be definitely adding to your content marketing strategy. And one of the things that we're doing at ALM, for example, if you just have a traditional SEO package with us, as from time to time we may take one of your videos and optimize them as part of the monthly deliverables, and not just optimizing them on YouTube, but also perhaps doing a summary or transcript of that video, putting it on the page, and optimizing it with specific keywords, as well as distributing that video into other video directories. So the whole thing is really to have an overall content marketing strategy that involves not just text-based, but also social, images, slide presentations, and other media as well as video. One of the key things that the author talks about, which we're all in agreement, is that content marketing takes time. Okay, you can make it fast, meaning that you can put it out there, publish it out there. And consistency is very key. You want to make sure that you're doing this on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, and you're putting out there some content. So that strengthens your SEO authority, but also you get more re-engagement from your users. So he does talk a little bit about it's not a quick fix. As we all know, SEO takes a little bit more time to really build that up, but there are various ways of doing it in a very smart manner and generate results. The other thing that I did quickly want to mention in regards to content marketing, in the model of inbound marketing, which is something that we're moving towards overall, and right now at this stage is only for specific companies. Content marketing plays a large role of that. A large role within inbound marketing, and if your client is not really ready to move to an inbound marketing platform or methodology, or even if they're not willing to move to inbound marketing strategy, you can still start kind of planting the seeds, getting them used to content marketing, because if they're looking at content marketing, they definitely need to do that. They definitely need to get used to the fact of creating content. Anyhow, moving on to the next component here is I found an interesting article of 5 techniques that may be killing your website in SEO. Just give me a quick second. Just wanted to check on something. Okay, just wanted to make sure I was sharing properly. Because this year, 2015, is going to be such a powerful year in regards to website development, because many reasons. Your client's website needs a revamp. They need a new branding entity online, or just a simple fact that they may be considering moving into responsive. It's very important that when you are developing the design questionnaires or the design scope documents, that you take into consideration some of the things that are happening in the industry, specifically with websites that are very design oriented. And sometimes there are different techniques or styles of websites that may look very good, but in essence they may not be helping your website in regards to just user experience, but also in SEO. So I just wanted to share with you these 5 things. One of them, number 4, we already know that if your site's not mobile friendly, it's gonna really impact your clients' website performance this year. I can assure you of that, just because of writings on the wall. Google continues to focus a lot on mobile and continue to promote and as well as reward responsive websites. It's something that if your client is looking at doing a new website, responsive should be at the top of the list. Number 1. Number 2 is, if they're not responsive today, you try to develop a strategy that before the end of the year, their existing website is responsive. But anyhow, let's not talk about that, but let's move on with the other 4 key things. Number 1 is infinite and endless scrolls. Now, I don't know if you've, and I'm going to show you a couple of samples in a second, but I don't know if you've kind of gone to a couple of sites in the past probably 6 months, and when you visit the site, you notice that the site just keeps going, really, like it's an endless scroll. And some designers think it's a cool thing to do, because you're kind of giving your audience the ability to look at your site within one page. And specifically, if you are a mobile site, everything is compacted into a one-page view. let's say. However, the infinite or endless scroll can bring some negativity. Specifically, there's scroll bar issues. Like, let's say there are some technical issues to it. If one of the segments or pieces is not working, it can definitely hinder the way or the user experience, right? Number two, placement confusion. Sometimes when you're reading in a website that has an infinite endless scroll bar, you don't know where you are. You may be at the bottom of the page, in the middle of the page, etc. But you get lost of where you are. And I'm going to show you a couple examples. And then the other key thing is page speed. Because you are pretty much loading up an endless page or an endless set of areas within one page, there could be an SEO issue with page speed. So you want to make sure that your pages are loading up fast. And if you want to kind of try this endless scroll bar technique, that your programming team and your specifically your designer, from a design perspective, it's not image heavy, and from a technology perspective, it's not widget heavy. That means that in one page you're not adding like 15 widgets because they still have to load. So that definitely has an impact on the page speed time. And the other thing is footer stickiness. Sometimes if I think that subconsciously or unconsciously, you as a user, as you're scrolling through a page, you want to look at the footer because maybe you want to look at the company's social media icons or their Facebook feed or Twitter feed, or even just their footer, just to see their address at the bottom. But if you can't see it, it creates confusion. So let me just show you an example. Give me a quick second. I will show you an example of what we mean by the infinite scroll. And again, it could be used for inner pages, or also here's an example of a blog, for example, in this case, that has an infinite scroll. So you have the opportunity to move from pages to pages. So some people will do that, right? They'll put a bit of a legend at the top where you can actually go to whatever page. But if you don't have this, the endless scroll is similar to this. So as I scroll down, you can see that as I go down, automatically, you see that at the bottom, you just look at the page continues to load up posts. So it's endless, right? You see that, and so it becomes like a long page, right? This specific example is very simple because all you're loading up is text, right? But imagine having and there are some examples where some homepage sites are like this, and it definitely creates confusion because I'm trying to go as slow as possible, so that way you can see that if I'm in post number 34, 33, and I can continue to scroll down, this thing just keeps going and going. So you want to, it is a cool trick, a cool tactic perhaps to use, but you just want to make sure that it's used properly and that it doesn't hinder the performance of your website. Okay, so that's the infinite scroll. If you want to use in your blogs because you want to kind of give that user experience rather than giving them the number legend, right? You can just have that the infinite scrolling. However, it has to be done properly. So before you do anything like that, I would recommend researching it before you launch it. Number two is another thing that's probably somewhat new. Again, less than a year old, is what they call lazy loading. And what lazy loading is, lazy loading is when you have your content pages or images loading up as you scroll down. So it's very similar to the infinite scroll, that it's not loading up. Typically, when you go into a URL, the website loads up behind, so all the components load up automatically as you go to that specific URL. In this case, it doesn't happen like that. The way it is programmed is only to load content or images that you can see above the fold. So as you scroll below the fold, you start kind of seeing what's next. whether it's text, images, and as you continue to scroll down, it does that. Now, sometimes it's done because perhaps the programmer has in your designer, they want to add an effect, or number two, they want to make it improve the page speed, right? Because it only loads or serves you the information, whether it's content or images, unless you need it, right? But there is a negative side to it, because when that happens, your content or images, if you're using lazy loading, will not be indexed by Google if they're below the loading point, because Google spiders will not try to interact with your script and load the rest of the page. So they come into your website. Remember, lazy loading is really more for user experience rather than for the Google bots or the search engine crawlers, right? So what happens is that although you can see it, they may not be able to load the full page. They will only load up to that first point when they can see. So let me give you a quick example of how that works. Let me just put this in pause for a second. And then I'm gonna share with you an example. Okay. So I'm going to actually load it up again because it seems only to load in a new browser. So let me just share with you. Bear with me. I wanted to do it live, so we'll do it like this. So you'll notice. So this is a sample of lazy loading a gallery, for example. So if you can look at this page, you'll notice that the images and the content is really loading what I can see. Below here at the bottom, you don't see anything right away. As I move down, this begins to load at the back. Okay. And as I scroll down, you see there the images are coming. If I go fast, you see that the images are loading as I move down. So it's a new, and I guess this is just a sample site. It's a new technique that some of the programmers are using, and even designers, to kind of give it a bit of a interaction or making it load faster. But in essence, you have to be very careful on how to use this and where to use it, because it may really actually be counterintuitive from an SEO perspective. Okay, so that's what lazy load is all about, and it's something that people are using without really taking into consideration the fact that it's not friendly. Okay, the other thing is Parallax. This is something that, again, it's not necessarily new. It's been around for over 12 months, I can tell you that. However, as more and more designers are encountering this type of design, they're really implementing it. However, a Parallax website design may not be the greatest way of not just displaying the information to your clients, but also it's not SEO friendly, because it's really relying a lot on two things: on images and videos sometimes, right? And number two, sometimes with Parallax, you're trying to fit let's say it's like a one-page website in essence, where you're trying to fit all of the different components of your website in one page. So it can be a bit negative. And I know that we've had some questions recently from the ICs in regards to that. So definitely we'll look at a couple of examples where you have to be very careful about using this. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't really use this in your design. If you're doing a website for a client that's just promotional, and they're not going to do any SEO on it, and they just want to, maybe it's for an event, special event, or for a specific trade show they'll be at, etc. You can use this technology, but you just got to be careful on how you use it if you're looking at optimizing it. So let me just quickly show you the Parallax type of websites, and also some of the things that you have to be wary of. So I'm going to share an example with you. Okay. So in this case, this is for the British Legion in the UK, and it revolves around the whole campaign of the poppy. right? So if you look at this, it's really a very multimedia or very customer engagement type of website with that type of user experience. So as I scroll down, it's all into different sections. So we have section number 1, which is this component here. I go to section number 2. Okay, so it talks to me. It's more kind of like an infographic, if you will. It takes me through this, and it's very interactive. Okay, but if you notice there, one of the things that you can see about this website, it's really one page, and there is no navigation bar. So if you're looking at optimizing this website, in reality, you can only optimize one page. And if you're looking at optimizing one page, maximum you can only optimize it for 1 to 2 keywords, right? So although it's a great interactive website, okay, you can see that, and I'll continue to go down here. Here's another component. You see, there's another parallax here. Very little content, and here's another one. Another section of the website with a different message. And I'm sure you've seen this already in some of the websites that you may be reviewing. And eventually you get to the bottom. Okay. So again, very, very limited on the number of pages. As a matter of fact, this was just a promotional campaign. So it's a good way of doing it. The problem is that sometimes you'll see these on theme when you're looking at buying templated sites for WordPress. You'll start seeing that they're just one page, and definitely you're not going to optimize. You can't. I mean, you can optimize the one page, but how much can you, in reality, optimize it? The only thing that you may want to do is work around it, is adding a blog to the somewhere on the site, so you can actually continue to add more pages. Anyhow, that's pretty much the Parallax experience. So it's one where. You want to make sure that if you are looking at doing some Parallax, make sure that you take into consideration the SEO component before you move on. Okay, let me just scroll back. Just give me a quick second here. We talked already about the not mobile friendly component. So if your client insists of not doing a mobile-friendly website, I think that responsive, I mean, this is probably just my personal bias or opinion, because I believe that you can adapt not just to mobile, but also to tablet and really fit all sizes. So I know some clients may say, well, I have a Duda mobile site, for example. Yeah, you can kind of use that, but in reality, even the SEO strategy it's like you're running two different sites, right? You're running your desktop and you're running your mobile. And how do you SEO? How do you do SEO for both properties, right? How do you create a unified SEO strategy with two different properties, right? So something to really review. I think that a mobile site could be, again, done for a special event or a special promotion, but not necessarily if you're looking at a website that you're going to have content, a specific content marketing strategy in it. You might as well, if you're doing it from a desktop perspective, leverage also and do it for mobile and tablet versions as well. Okay, and the other thing is something that I came across, hamburger menus. I wouldn't recommend you using this, but I've seen it a number of times, and I remember seeing this in one of the sites that I usually in my spare time I usually review, which was Sports Illustrated, the SI.com Sports Illustrated website. And I remember seeing this where all they had was, like, they didn't have a navigation bar. All they had was a menu looking icon, and I didn't know how to use it because it was the first time I went into that site, and I got frustrated so fast because I couldn't see the menu. Everything that I was used to looking at Sports Illustrated, the sections that I wanted to see, let's say NBA or football or basketball, football, soccer, etc. I couldn't find them, and I got so frustrated until finally I found the little menu bar on the top right-hand corner, and I was so upset because it took me like 1 minute to look for it, to find it, or more than 1 minute. and pretty much they had changed the way the navigation worked. And if you're going to have a hamburger menu, you want to you want to rethink that, because sometimes you have to look at the fact that mobile users may understand what it is, but a desktop user, if they don't find a navigation structure on your website, they may get confused, or they may get frustrated with your website, and just, you know what, they'll exit. Okay, so let me give you an example of that in a second. There are some ways of doing it properly, but then there's some ways that, you know, it may not work. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples. As a matter of fact, this is one of them that you can kind of, I'll give you, I'll share a couple of samples, but one of them is this one, where you're looking at this one here. This is a menu. It doesn't tell me it's a menu, but if I were to come to this site, I don't know where I am, and unless I click on this, it's good for, you see, I actually somewhat on the, it looks like a menu here if I hover over it, right? But if I'm just a normal user, I'm lost. I don't know where my menu item is. And this is another example here. This is actually a theme, a template theme, where it's very stylish. It's using a bit of Parallax in it. You see, it's going into sections, right? So it uses a bit of Parallax design. But again, you know, I'm frustrated because my menu's here, but I don't know where the menu is. If I'm a first-time user of this website, I may be like, okay, where do I go? And I want to find the contact us page, right? Okay, so unless I click here, you know, I'll find out. But if I don't click on this little icon, I may not know what to do, right? So again, if you're going to use what they call hamburger menus, make sure that you put menu here, at least, you know, in text format, or if you really want to use this, you also should use the normal navigation bar. Okay, so this is something that's happening with designs, and let me see if I can quickly, I know I'm running almost out of time here, but I want to see if I can find another website that I wanted to share a website with you. I'll share this website with you. Again, this is using Parallax, and also it's using a combination of Parallax and also hamburger menus. So if I skip intro, see, very nicely designed website. But again, as soon as I get here, I do have the contact us link, but okay, where's my menu? It's only one page. I want to see my menu. It's not into, you know, it's on the right hand corner in this case because they actually typed in the text, but there's no menu across. So if you are looking at using hamburger menus, make sure that you are educating or directing the user into where the menu is. And, you know, that's when I can kind of start scrolling. So these are cool sites, very well designed, but you just have to make sure that they have the right purpose. And for example, in this case, you know, you want to make sure that in this instance it's just one page. So, you know, this text, it's under one URL. Is that SEO friendly? May not be. So some things to consider as you are building, as you are designing and working with your clients on their new website. Okay, perfect. Just give me a quick second. Just trying to close this out here. Okay, and the last one, the last slide that I want to show, as we are kind of running a little bit of time, is a slide by our friends at Hubspot. I thought this was kind of cool. Sometimes we may not be strong practitioners of social media, and we have the questions on how do I use a hashtag and when to use a hashtag properly, right? You know, specifically with adaptive SEO methodology, you want to make sure that all of your social media posts are properly optimized, not just keyword optimized, but part of that optimization process also includes hashtags, adding the proper hashtags. Now, hashtags can be used in the different social media properties, but you know, what's efficient? You know, that's do I use one hashtag in one post, or do I use multiple hashtags? So let me share with you very quickly this infographic that you can actually use again on your presentations. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, and it's from Quick Sprout. and basically it talks about the hashtag, what the hashtag is all about. I'm pretty sure all of you guys understand how hashtags works and how it really, values creates value. But the key thing also is, really adding hashtags in order to create engagement with your users. So on Twitter, how many times should I be using a hashtag, and should I be actually using a hashtag? So when you're doing any posts on Twitter, you should have a minimum of one hashtag. I mean, ideally, you don't want to have more than 2 hashtags, because then you're overdoing it. But when you do actually include a hashtag into your Twitter post, you actually gain 2 times more engagement. Okay, this is based on the test that QuickSprout team completed for the purpose of Twitter, right? And so 1 to 2 hashtag is the optimal manner, because you do get 25% higher, 21% higher engagement on tweets, okay, and as well as 55% more likely to be retweeted on tweets with 1 or more hashtags. So you want to keep it to around 1 or 2 that are relevant hashtags, right? Something that's relevant to the theme or topic of your post, okay? And that's for Twitter. On Instagram, again, if you have 0 hashtags, for example, you have 18% interaction per 1,000 followers, so you're not getting the best out of it. However, in this case with Instagram, ideally, typically, the more hashtags that you have on your post, it yields higher levels of interactions. Okay, so Instagram is a little bit different. Because you can actually add up to, I think 11 plus hashtags into it. But again, in order for these hashtags to be effective, they have to be relevant to the topic or your post, right? On Facebook, what do they say about Facebook? Okay, perfect. You want to make sure that you're using hashtags accordingly and properly. Okay, posts with hashtags, they do have a 0.8 median viral reach per fan, so it actually amplifies a little bit of your post, right? If you have 1 to 2 hashtags, you have an average of 593 interactions per post. So it does seem to yield, the sweet spot is 1 to 2 hashtags. The more you have, the less number of interactions per post, as you can see here. So very key. And on Google Plus, again, part of our overall SEO strategy is definitely how many hashtags can I add, and what is the sweet spot. Now, with the hashtags on Google, one of the things that you can automatically also edit or create your own, and what you want to do is add a minimum of 2 hashtags per comment. Okay, in doing so, you will definitely start getting more results from your Google Plus activities. Okay, so it's an interesting infographic that you may want to share with your clients, or even just for you to know if you are managing your clients' social media strategy and have a question in regards to the use of hashtags and social media properties. Excellent. Let's just go back to our slide here. Okay, a little bit about us, and I'm going to get to the questions in a second. Our clients as well. You've seen our services before. If you have any questions specifically, we're getting a lot of questions about Hubspot. Feel free to let us know how we can assist you. We have developed even a specific a process on how to qualify potential Hubspot clients. Let's keep in mind that HubSpot or the whole inbound marketing methodology may not apply to all of your clients. So if you come across a prospect that or a client that wants to investigate, let us know. We can definitely assist you in that. And we even have some specific questionnaires from HubSpot that will help you qualify your clients. So if you have any questions on that, feel free to let us know. I'm going to quickly go through some questions. Apologies, I kind of had a bit of a longer session today, but I'm kind of getting to the questions. Okay. Okay, for some reason Okay, so one of the questions that I have here is in regards what about having a not responsive site but having also the mobile version? Does this work positive for SEO results, or is it even better than having a responsive website? Juan Carlos, great question. I would tell you that the only challenge with mobile sites is that they're really limited on the number of pages, right? Whereas let's say you have a client who has a desktop version of their site with, let's say, 50 pages. And with a responsive conversion of that site, you pretty much have 50 pages that you can continue to optimize. But if you have a mobile site, you may only be able to optimize 6, 10, 15 pages. If you're looking at optimizing more than 15 pages, separate, having a separate entity or separate property or asset in a mobile site, it may be double the work. That's the only thing to consider. Now, if your client only has 10 pages, 10 pages mobile, 10 pages desktop and 10 pages in their mobile site, I think it's easier to manage. So it really comes down to number one, how easy it is to manage, and number two, also remember, the more pages you have out there working together, the better. Right? So I would always lean towards the responsive component. Another question again from Juan Carlos is, how much content is it recommended to have on each website page? I mean, in terms of number of words. By using WebScan to analyze the website, it is very common to get a not enough content result. What do you recommend in order to avoid this and to appear more attractive to search engines? Our rule of thumb, Juan Carlos, is you want to have, let's say, your home page. You can have different types of content, images, small call to actions as well. But hardcore optimized content, we always lean towards 350 and up to 500 words, right? For, let's say, a home page, maybe 350 words, maybe maximum 400 words. Now, if you have any inner pages, minimum you should be doing, again, 350 to 500 words. Typically, when we are doing content writing for our clients, the inner pages are about 400 to 500 words. Okay. Now, those are inner pages. Now, let's say blog posts. Blog posts, I would recommend. We typically do about 300 to 350 words. Keyword optimized. Okay. Articles, a little bit lengthier. You can go, 500 to 1,000. Although, there are SEO experts that say, it doesn't matter how long your articles are, as long as your user doesn't get bored of reading them, right? As long as they're engaging, right? And in that case, what we may recommend is saying, why don't you break that article into two, right? Part 1 and part 2, right? That's the way we typically recommend to our clients. Again, a homepage, you want to have minimum 300 to 350 words in your homepage of optimized content. Inner pages, 400 to 500 words typically, or you can have more, not a problem, but that's what you want to add. Blog posts, you're looking at, again, 300, 350 optimized, and also your articles could be 500 and beyond, beyond that. The other thing is, if you do have an e-commerce in your product categories, you want to have at least 250 words in your product category description, in your product, your actual product landing pages, right? The product details page. You're also looking at 250, 300 words of content. So these are some of the things that we would recommend. Okay, excellent. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and we look forward to another great discussion next week, another great webinar. Have yourself a great Tuesday. Just letting you know that we will also be showcasing a keyword research webinar with in conjunction with head office next on Thursday at 11 a.m. So I'll be accompanied by our Director of Marketing, Darren, who is also an SEO expert, and we'll be discussing some of the strategies to better keyword research. So again, have yourself a great day, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.